Good evening, my dear friends. Kindly let me know if I'm audible or not. Yes. So I'm all okay. So I can see again there are only 9 participants today, and I believe these are the same 9 participants which were present for yesterday's lecture also. And this is my signature that I assure you that these 9 students will definitely make into the interview list one day, because sincerity and hard work, discipline is very important, I assure you. See how I am associated with this platform after I cracked this UPSC examination. This platform, after I cracked UPSC examination, before cracking this examination, I never attended any coaching class material because I didn't put faith in any of them. After cracking this examination, I came across the literature of this platform, and gave me what I have researched and what I have compiled in 3.5 years of my austerity preparation. I found the same exact literature, even detailed form, on this platform, and that's why I would suggest, if you stick to curriculum and if you stick to this pattern and if you put your faith in this pattern, one day definitely associated with your hard work, you will make into the personality test list. Coming into the recommended list is a ambiguous thing. It's not under our control, but making the interview list is definitely in our control. Okay. So now we are going to see another important topic, which mm, the question directly does not come from this part of your syllabus, but this part is very important for basic understanding of Indian economy. Okay, so the capital account and the current account convertibility in India. If you know the basic difference of this capital and current account, the very name suggests current means short term, current, current affairs, recent happenings means short term happenings, and capital accounts means, in the language of economy, it is a long term adventure or enterprise. Okay, so it is short term and it is long term, it is current is short term, capital is long term. Account convertibility in India. Every country has different tools for its account convertibility. India, being the developing country, a resource scarce country, and we had a history of colonial colonial past. So these three factors, we are a developing country, that we are very cautious. We are a resource scarce country, therefore very judicious. And we had a history of colonial exploitation, that we are doubtful about the of intentions of the West or the Europe. So these three factors makes our capital account and current account convertibility rules very rigid, very rigid. That's why every country has a different rules or regulations regarding their capital and account convertibility. The international movement of capital is not always free. Countries restrict flows of capital as and when needed to safeguard their markets from irregular flows of capital. In India, for example, there are restrictions on the movement of foreign capital, and rupee is not fully convertible in capital account. Yes, we have 100% current account current account convertibility, but we have partial capital account convertibility. We have 100% current account convertibility, and capital account is partial, because this is short term and this can be dealt easily. Even if there are some malafide intentions by a investor, it can be dealt immediately. But for capital account, as we say, it is a long term kind of investment, so the malafide intentions are difficult to detect, and therefore we have not permitted 100% in our capital account. What does capital account and convertibility means? Capital account convertibility. Capital account convertibility means freedom to convert rupee into any foreign currency, euro, dollar, yen, renminbi, or vice versa, for capital account transactions, means short-term transactions. In very simple language, it means Indians are having freedom to convert their local financial assets into foreign financial markets determined at the exchange rate, free flow exchange rate, which are market determined. We have accepted the free floating exchange rates, which are market determined. Account convertibility allows the free inflows and outflows of foreign currency in all, including the resident Indian buying foreign goods and services and imports. Okay, this is very generic statement. On the other hand, capital means long term, is widely regarded as a hallmark of development. It is regarded as the hallmark of developed countries. It also seen as the major comfort factor for foreign investors, since it allows them to reconvert local currency back into their own currency and move out from India. Direct foreign investment, many developing countries invest to, and not realizing the free mobility of capital leaves current open to both sudden and huge inflows of current outflows. Destabilizing tendencies. Yeah, this is the factor that you need to remember. East Asian crisis of 1998. East Asian crisis. You know what was the seed for conception of ASEAN? You know ASEAN, Association of Southeast Asian Nations. This was this East Asian crisis of 1998, because they made their current account fully convertible and capital account also. This led to the destabilizing tendencies, because on one night you have 100 crore in your account, and after 24 hours you just have 1 lakh rupee in your account. So such a huge destabilizing tendency is attributed to the fully convertibility. Okay, Now that is not important. What is important is what is the situation regarding India. So when capital account convertibility or current account convertibility comes into action, Tarapur committee, Tarapur committee. Actually, it is SS Tarapur, SS Tarapur committee. They have laid a clear roadmap for current account convertibility. It is also important that this time frame could be speeded up or delayed, depend on the success achieved in establishing the preconditions, primarily fiscal consolidation, an important word just to remember, fiscal consolidation and strengthening of financial system at and low inflation rate. So what SS Tarapur committee on capital and current account convertibility has suggested that they have given a roadmap of 3 years. Okay, prime objective being fiscal consolidation. What do I mean by fiscal consolidation? It is a very important term. Regularly UPSC revolves around this terminology. Fiscal, financial, consolidation means collection. The financial collection through your taxes, through your revenues, through your non-tax revenues, etc., etc. So, what SS Tarapur committee had suggested is that sound policies, robust regulatory frameworks, promoting strong and efficient financial sector, effective systems, procedures for controlling capital flow greatly enhanced, ensuring such flows foster sustainable growth and did not lead to disruption crisis. So वही गोल गोल बातें हैं कि sound policies. Why you need sound policies at the first place? Because, for example, in the general election, party a political party A comes into the majority and they make some financial laws or policies, and after 5 years party B comes into the power and they totally reverse the financial policies of party A. And then after 5 years again party A comes into the power and it also reverses the financial policies made by B. And then after 5 years again political party B comes into the power and they again reverses the financial policies by A and establishes its own policies. So this is called as policy uncertainty. Policy uncertainty, and it's very common picture in India. Our governments keep on changing and the political party consensus on policy is so immature that the coming political party totally reverses the policy of the previous government irrespective what damage it will cause to our economy or economic image in world. So this is called as political policy uncertainty. Policy uncertainty comes out of political instability. Political instability. Political instability leads to political uncertainty, which reduces the investors' confidence. Just imagine if you are a guy with $100 billion, would you invest in a country where political party keeps on changing every five years and they also changes the policy according to their whims and fancies? So a destination without any political certainty, would you invest hard earned money on such a country? So yes, policy uncertainty is very deleterious for investors' confidence, and that's how policy certainty or sound policies are required with robust regulatory framework. That is it. Current account convertibility. Current account today is fully convertible, as I already said, from 1994. It means that full amount of foreign exchange required by someone for purpose will be made available to him or her. See, this is patriarchal statement again. Him or her. Always in UPSC, remember, you should be respectful in your answers and in your content. Whenever you are writing such things like this one for current purposes will be made available to slash her at the official exchange rate, and there could be an unprohibited outflow of foreign exchange. Earlier it was partially convertible, but don't remember this. Now it's fully convertible current account. For capital account, yes, restrictions are there. After recommendation, as I said, this is the thing. SS Tarapur Committee 1997 on capital account convertibility. Nobody in a developing country like India would risk for 100% capital account convertibility because it will threaten our national security, our national sovereignty, our strategic autonomy, and our independence, financial independence. So, no popular government will allow full capital account convertibility. So, yes, when UPSC is asking question, you should be in 100% favor of current account convertibility and in partial favor of capital account convertibility. That is the catch. Remember this. Balance of payment, very important and dear chapter for finance ministry, and therefore in economic survey it pop-ups every year, and therefore UPSC asks question UPSC asks question every year on this balance of payment, either in prelims or in mains, directly on or indirectly. So balance of payment of a country can be defined as a systemic statement. See the word, beautiful word. Systemic statement of all the economic transaction of a country with rest of the world during a specific period, usually 1 year. It indicates whether the country has surplus or deficit of a trade. When exports exceed imports, there is trade surplus. Very simple. And when imports exceed exports, there is trade deficit. Very easy. India has trade surplus with country like USA. India has trade deficit with country like China. You should remember the example. We have trade surplus with USA and trade deficit with China. Now, purposes of calculation of balance of payment. It reveals financial and economic status of country. Can be used as an indicator to determine whether the country's currency is appreciating or depreciating. Helps the government to decide fiscal and policies, right? Means BOP is basically a data which will give real picture of our economy. It will give the real picture of our net exports. Therefore, we can plan our policies accordingly. Now, components of BOP. Preparing BOP account. See, Economic Survey of 2016 and 17 and 17 and 18 have detailed talked about BOP crisis, balance of payment, because this is a very burning issue. We have a time constraint, otherwise I would have told the at least 10 questions in last 2 to 3 years that are indirectly related to the BOP concept. And UPSC is very stressful. It is very stressing on the exact concept of BOP. So BOP forms an important part. For preparing BOP accounts, economic transaction between a country and the rest of the world are grouped under current account, capital account, and errors and omissions. It also shows the changes in foreign exchange reserves. So, just a question to you, what will be the balance of payment of the world as a whole unit? Just a question. You should answer within 30 seconds. What will be the net BOP of world? net BOP of world as a single unit. Then only I can understand if you are getting the concept or not. 30 seconds, please. Net BOP of the world. Any idea? If you don't have idea, please let me know that also so that I can explain you that net balance of payment of a globe as a single unit or enterprise is always will always be zero. And this was the question asked by UPSC before 2010. Before 2010, in the prelims, the question was asked, what will be the net balance of payments of the world as a single unit? Balance of payments means basically if India owes USA $100 billion, means that is India has a liability of $100 billion, whereas USA has an asset of $100 billion coming from India. Means balance of payment for India is to give $100 billion to USA, and balance of payment which is negative for India, that is the amount is going to be subtracted from the account of India, but for USA it will be the $100 billion that will be credited to USA account, that is they are going to earn it in India's account, that will be subtracted, and in USA account it will be added, so net will always be zero. And this is the beautiful question that was asked by UPSC. It was a concept based question in economy. Basically, balance of payments means all outstanding payments of nations towards towards other nations. That means some nation is going to pay 100 rupees, and similarly some nations are going, just a minute. uh, I will take a 1 minute break, and 1 minute break because I need to readjust the logistics. Okay, uh, within 1 minute I'll be live again. Okay, sorry for the inconvenience. Mhm. Am I audible? Just anyone message me. So the net balance of payments of the whole world will always be zero. See, आपने किसी से उधार लिया, आपको किसी को पैसा देना है, फॉर एग्जाम्पल 10,000 रुपीज, और किसी से कोई आपसे 10,000 रुपीज कमाएगा, मतलब आपने लूज किए ने कमाए बट नेट जीरो रहा. So this is the quality of questions that UPSC asked in the final examination. I remember uh, they have asked a very beautiful question, economy, based on the concepts of economy, which was tourism is tourism is. Option A was net import. Option B was invisible export. Option C was net forex, means foreign exchange gains. and option D was and option D was positive current account convertibility. So tourism is, this was a very beautiful question that was asked by UPSC, and this is the level entity of UPSC that they asked questions. So tourism is basically, what is it? Net import, invisible export, net forex gains, or it is a positive current account convertibility. So now I think 45 seconds are over, and in the chat box, please give me the answer. Sorry. I'm really sorry. I will again explain. So, for example, I have most of the students have answered it is net forex gains. So it is not the case. I have given the example of Mr. Donald Trump. He has came to India, and for example, he has spent $100 in India. So we have gained $100 million in our territory, but at the same time, he has also signed the purchase deal with India of $100 million of weapons he has sold to India. So we have lost $90 million effective. So forex gains will, so the net will not only be gains, we may lose also. And same with positive current account convertibility, it may be negative also. But tourism will always remain as invisible exports. This was the answer that was given UPSC, and such a beautiful question it was. Okay, so this is how UPSC asks question on concepts, whether we have understood it or not. They will always ask on concepts, and hardly any coaching class will match the standards of UPSC. Okay, so the components of BOP were preparing a base of payment, economic transaction between country and the rest of the world are grouped under current account, capital account, errors and omissions. Okay, so you don't need to remember this. Current account and capital account, these are two in the syllabus. Current account show export and imports, visibles, OMR. Just example, remember, after goods, S means the goods means merchandise products, and the invisibles, service sector, invisible set. So services, transfers and income. Means GSTI. This was a mnemonic made by me to remember the heads, to remember the heads of current account. What are the heads with current accounts is counted? So integrated GST means GSTI: goods, services, transfers and income. Now what is good? Merchandise exports means trade. We manufacture something, USA manufactures something, we send goods to them, they send good to us. But in this we are negative because Indian manufacturing is very poor as compared to any other progressive nation. Okay, so in the GSTI head we are negative in the goods. In services we are positive. In services we are positive because India is a huge country with huge population, and our Indians are in every, from North Pole to South Pole. Indians are working mostly in the USA, Europe and the Middle East, Emirates. These are the three rich regions of the world. From USA we earn money and send to India. From Europe we are earn money and send to India. And from the Middle East or the Emirates, our Indian expatriates or Indian diaspora earns money and send to India. So the transfers comes under that, and even income comes under that. Okay. So GSTI, this comes under current convert. This is very important thing, and just please remember this thing what I have said. GSTI, integrated GST, goods, services, transfers and incomes, they come under current account convertibility. And on this basis, you will be able to solve at one MCQ in your final examination. That means 2.66 marks I am talking about. Net 2.66 marks you will gain because by remembering this concept, and which makes all the difference. I have lost two prelims by the margin of 0.66 and 1.33 marks. So please focus. Capital account is long-term account, long-term project, infrastructural project, dams, bullet trains. Japan has lent us 1.5 lakh crores for bullet train from Mumbai to Ahmedabad. It is a soft loan for 50 years. So that will definitely go under the head of capital account. It is used to raise some kind of capital. Now external commercial borrowing, FDI and foreign portfolio investment, etc. from the form of capital account. ECB, external commercial borrowing. Now Vijay Mallya for his Kingfisher Airlines has taken a loan from Deutsche Bank or New York Oil Corporation Bank or Royal Bank of Scotland. So the bank based in Scotland will lend to Vijay Mallya for Kingfisher Airlines. This will be external commercial borrowing. What will be FDI? What will be FPI? The Mairam committee has said FDI in listed company more than 10% of investment, and FPI is less than 10% of investment is FPI. Foreign direct investment is a stable money, and foreign portfolio investment is a money because it is volatile. आज रात हमने बॉम्बे स्टॉक एक्सचेंज में पैसा शेयर इन्वेस्ट किया, और कल हमने वो पूरा पैसा निकाल के शंघाई कॉर्पोरेशन में इन्वेस्ट, और परसों निकाल के लंदन बैंक में इन्वेस्ट किया. So the money is shifting on 24 hours. It is shifting from one continent to another continent or one country to another country. So FPI is a hot investment and it is not reliable. FDI, foreign direct investment, is a relatively stable investment. So India is always behind protecting FDIs and not FPIs. Errors and omissions, no need to study. Now, change in the forex reserves. Movement in the reserves come from the changes in foreign currency assets held by RBI, because RBI is a central bank. International community does not deal with SBI or Punjab National Bank or say HDFC or etc. Because international community does not rely on the credibility of commercial banks. They rely on the credibility of a central bank. And what is the central bank of our country? It is RBI. Okay, so special drawing rights SDR is coordinated with RBI. Overall, balance of payment account can be surplus or deficit. Simple है, simple है. मैंने कहा, as I already said, if India has purchased $100 million machinery from USA, so $100 million will be deducted from India's accounts and it will be transferred to USA account. So for India, balance of payment is negative, but same balance of payment for USA is $100 million positive. So for India, if it's deficit, definitely for some other country, in this case USA, it is surplus. If there is deficit, then it can be by taking money from the forex exchange account. This is simple. Current account deficit, GSTI, integrated GST, mnemonic. Current account deficit, goods, services, transfers and income. See, goods, services, investments and into or out of country. Trade in goods, it is negative for India. Services, it is positive for India because huge Indian diaspora works all over the world. And remittances, it is also India is the largest remittance earner in the world, $64 billion last year. We have earned through remittances, followed by China with $59 billion, followed by Bangladesh and Pakistan. So India is the largest benefiter from remittances. Obviously, we have a huge population of 1.4 billion people on the earth. So definitely, Indians are at every corner of this world, earning and sending back to India. They are sending back to India. That's why we are the largest benefactors of services and remittances or transfers. Current account is equal to trade gap. This is G. Net current transfers. This is T. And net income from abroad. Services and income. Trade gap is goods is for goods. Net current transfer is for transfers. Net income from abroad is for services and income. GSTI. करंट अकाउंट अगर आपके क्वेश्चन में आए, इंटीग्रेटेड जीएसटी ये निमोनिक है, गुड्स, सर्विसेज, ट्रांसफर्स एंड इनकम. जस्ट रिमेंबर दिस. So the country with rising account deficit shows that it has become uncompetitive. It's obvious that country has become uncompetitive and investor confidence is lost because rising current account deficit means there is a huge trade gap, net current transfer very low, and net income from abroad from services and remittances is very low. So this shows it is the country is very bad for business. That means it has turned uncompetitive and investor confidence is lost. In India, CAD could be reduced by boosting exports. Basically, if your export is increased, your trade gap is reduced. Curbing non-essential imports such as gold. It's very unfortunate. It's very unfortunate that Indian people are obsessed gold. It's very unfortunate. And level of unfortunate is to the level that even I was unable to convince my parents and my wife in my wedding that we shall not depend on gold. The gold has formed the very part of and very core of our culture, that Indians are obsessed with gold. We are obsessed with gold, but India does not produce gold. So all gold is coming is through imports, and imports. This is a very valuable element or metal that is bringing India's resources out of India. Majority of gold comes from countries like Australia, USA, Canada, or South Africa. We are losing our money to this country just out of a cultural obsession with gold, and which comes under non-essential imports. Also, the mobiles and electronics are also non-essential imports. iPhone iPhone makes most of its business out of India and China. It does not make its income from USA, which is the parent company in USA. But India and China being a developing country, we are culturally obsessed to the marketing gimmicks, and we fall for the trap of iPhone. We keep on earning our iPhones, whereas losing our essential money. However, it is an individual decision, and being UPSC student, we should respect every individual decision if it's within the law. Current account deficit and fiscal deficit, also known as budget deficit, is a situation when nation's expenditure exceeds its revenues and are grown and are together known as twin deficit. Yeah, India suffers from twin deficit syndrome. India suffers from two two twin deficits. Economic survey of 1718 speaks of it. Two twin deficits. One is twin balance sheet problem, twin balance sheet problem, and another is twin budget deficit. One is twin balance sheet problem, and another is twin budget deficit, which means it is a situation where we are spending more than what we are earning, and the gap is filled by borrowing. But borrowing does not come for free; it comes with interests, and it is a loan which has to be paid by future generations. If the government in 1991 has taken a soft loan for 20, which will be chargeable out after 20 years, that means the government of 91 has spent, and after 25 years, in the year of say 2016, the current government has paid back. So the previous generation has enjoyed the benefits of the money, but the burden of paying it is on the future generation. That's why loan is called as penalty to future generations. Same I have already said you, current account deals with country short-term transactions. Okay. What current accounts? Trade means G, and enable like services S, transfers like T, and integrated like investment. Okay. Current account means GSTI, goods trade, services, transfers, and income. Now, what is capital account? The capital account is a record of inflows and outflows of capital that directly affects nations' foreign assets and liability. It is concerned with all international trade transactions between citizens of one country and other countries. The component of capital account include, now it is the important thing to remember, foreign investments. Foreign investments means it could be FDI, long term, or FPI, short term, loans, banking, means external commercial borrowing by Vijay Mallya from Royal Bank of Scotland. Okay. So the capital account flow reflect the factors such as commercial borrowings, banking, investment, loans, and capital. Interesting to note is that if, for example, external commercial borrowing, India has uh, India has been granted a loan of 1.5 lakh rupees, 1.5 lakh rupees by the Bank of Japan for 50 years as soft loan with very minimal interest rates. Okay, so it will be counted for the head of capital account. Okay, why? Because any foreign investment or loan will be counted at under capital account, but when India will start paying the interest to pay it back, it will be count under current account. The interest will be counted under current account. Why? Because unilateral transfer. See, so that's why we see current account deficit as more prominent, because if we are borrowing some money, that is, borrowing means it is credited to our account, it will be counted a capital account, but when we will start paying it back as a liability, it will be accounted under current account. That's why our current account is messed up. It always will be messed up, and not just India, but in very countries like US and Germany, they have worst capital account even as when compared to developing nation, because they borrow more and the interest at a higher interest rate as compared to India. So this will always be a case where your capital accounts will be seem stable, but your current account will be very volatile, because all the assets are of loans are counted in cap account, but same liabilities are counted as negatives in current account. I hope you have understood this. Now current account, savings account. Basic thing, current account is for business enterprise. Business enterprise. Savings account is for household. Even if you are a student and working, if you are studying in Old Rajan or in whatever city you are working, you are studying, when you go to ATM, when you go to ATM and press for withdrawal of money, there are two options. Either it is current account, saving account. So you must be pressing saving account because you are an individual account, and that saving account. Current account is for business enterprises. As simple as that. They are preferred by individuals and provide liquidity to for private and small business sometimes. On the other hand, the current account are basically for is a transactional account, which are preferred by business people. We individuals prefer saving and business people saving current. The basic objective for current account is to provide flexibility of payments to the business people and entities. Simple. Only word is important. As discussed above, saving accounts have no overdraft facility. Current accounts have. Basic difference. Again, UPSC can ask question on the basic difference of saving account and current account. No overdraft facility for savings, and current accounts have overdraft facility because uh, to support a business, a nascent business, sometimes the money is pipeline. Expected to get money after 50 days, but to run the business for or to sustain the business for 15 days, they need some form of advances which cannot be counted as loan. So this is as overdraft facility. The government will give you money for 15 days as a cost of running capital, so that your business sustain for 15 days, and that's how only business accounts will have overdraft facility and savings account won't have. Minimum balance, it is irrelevant after Pradhan Mantri Jan Dhan Yojana. BOP, strong BOP. These are the statistics that you need to remember. Trade surplus in June 2020, it was only because of COVID crisis. Because India is relatively less networked in the global supply chain, so because of COVID, whole global supply chain was disrupted, and India being apart from this is and in a less integrated manner was able to supply because we also started Atmanirbhar Bharat or self-reliant India, and that's how we serve through this COVID crisis. But this is not general case. We can see trade plus in our country only with COVID lockdown when supply chains of other nations were interrupted or disrupted. India was relatively stable. Domestic manufacturing being boosted. How Atmanirbhar initiative I already mentioned. Free trade agreements. These are also very important. Okay. Many policy certainties has been given. Yesterday I have said that government is working on ease of doing business. On every parameter, government is working of ease of doing this. FPI, hot money. The moment you read about FPI, you should remember it as a hot. So it consists of securities and other financial assets passively held by the investors. It does not provide investor with direct ownership. They are just investors in financial assets. Okay. FPI is a part of capital account because if you remember any loan in a country of destination comes under the head of capital account where its repayment of loans or capital where its repayment of loans or interest comes under the current account. Showing BOP, the investor does not actively manage because they does not have any ownership rights. The investor goal is to create the quick returns on money as hot money. If they are profiting from Mumbai, they invest in Mumbai. On the next day, if they are profiting in Hong Kong, they will shift to Hong Kong. If they are profiting next day in Tokyo, they will shift to Tokyo. So the money is very hot. Within few hours, it may disappear. It may shift like a quicksand. So this is the term hot money. And FPI is more liquid and less risky than. Huh? No, this is a wrong word. FPI is more liquid, no doubt about that, but it is more risky also than FDI. And now what is foreign direct investment? It is an investment. It is definitely it is a long-term investment, and it also give you the shares in the business enterprise. After you purchasing, you also get the ownership rights. FPI is term, FDI is long term, and more than 10% of assets and liabilities. Okay, so now FPI and FDI are both important source of funding of most companies, but FPI being hot money, we will discourage it, and FBI relatively we will encourage it. So all Make in India policies are targeted towards increasing FDI, foreign investment, and not FPI. Just remember this. These statistics you don't need to remember. ECB, external commercial borrowing, it goes under the capital head. Just remember, Vijay Mallya, Kingfisher Airlines, borrowing from Royal Bank of Scotland (RBS). This kind of soft loans, interest rate ज़्यादा नहीं होता है, and that's why the Kingfisher Airlines instead of borrowing from any Indian bank, they go towards outside bank because interest rates are low, paperwork is less cumbersome, relatively convenient. It is a long-term loan, soft kind of loan. That's why any individual turns towards external commercial borrowing, and this is good for a country's economic growth because if Kingfisher is competing with other MSMEs which are relatively small, if suppose you and me, all 10 people, have opened a plastic molecule MSME and we are applying loan for a loan in SBI, and at the same branch Vijay Mallya is coming for a loan in same branch of SBI, so the chances of getting the loan to Vijay Mallya is more, and that's how our small MSME will die out. Now in this case, if this Vijay Mallya that you are a very big and huge enterprise, why don't you go to Royal Bank of Scotland or Royal Bank of England for loan and you benefit, and that's how we will also get a good chance of getting on from SBI. So you go outside country and we will take money from this domestic bank. And this is how it is for our economy. Okay. Now what are the advantages? Large volume. Banks can give large volume. Long term, definitely. Interest rates are lowered compared to domestic funds. Yes, that's why our firms go for loan in their thing. Forex reserve. Next thing important. Foreign currency held by our country central bank. This is an important word. The reserves held by you and me does matter. They does not come under the forex reserve officially, but held by RBI they comes under that head. So foreign currency, bond, T-bills, and government securities. What are the actives? Really, it is a question. See, we are a globalized world. At any point of time, we should have at least 400 billion in our RBI treasury. Why? Because it is a safety cushion. It shows your credibility. If you own a Mercedes Benz, that's like having a good forex exchange. So your credibility in the market is more, and that is the thing. Okay, currently India has crossed for the first time $520 billion forex reserve. Any guesses what is the forex reserve of China? This is the size of forex exchange reserves of China. $4,800 billion. And what is the size of our forex reserve? 520. Even United States of America and the Federal Reserve Bank does not have this amount of dollars, American dollars, what Chinese have. And that's why Chinese economy is relatively robust and stable. What are that are counted in forex reserves? Gold, yes. SDRs, yes. Foreign currency assets, yes. And SBI position in time, yes. RBI Act of 1939, legal framework for deployment of reserves with foreign exchange. Do you know how this RBI Act of 1934 came? Uh, just Google it for me. Who was that guy in the history, in the Spectrum Models history, who has recommended? Simon Commission has recommended to establish a central bank. Just Google this name, Young Hilton and RBI. And this was also suggested by Bharat Dr. B.R. Ambedkar. Dr. B.R. Ambedkar suggested this thing. Simon's commission suggested this thing. And if Young Hilton, I am not wrong. Now I think one message is come in the chat. Young Hilton, yes, I am right. So these are the three names. That's why the RBI Act of 1934 was passed, where legal framework was decided for central banking activity. Okay. Significance You can guess it. Safety cushion, credibility of country, good investment destination. In term of crisis, we have a safety cushion. Rupee appreciation, but this is not good for our economy. And confidence is market, this is good for our economy. So this is how we have came across our today's uh, topic, capital and current account convertibility. See, just remember, you have to read multiple times, but capital is anything which is long term and current is anything which is short term. Okay, the moment you heard about capital account, integrated GST is the mnemonic, GSTI. Goods, trade, services, transfers, transfer of income or remittances and income, GSTI. This is the thing. And when you moment you comes under capital, these are FDI or FPI. These are foreign investments, which can be FDI, which is long term again, and FPI, which is short term, which is hot money. Within 6 hours, your FPI can go from Mumbai to Shanghai, Shanghai to Tokyo, Tokyo to London, and that is not a reliable money. That's why it is called as hot money. Uh, just I think Arvind Mayaram committee is the one who has given the definition of FDI and FPI. Okay. So next thing, present situation, balance of payment. The balance of payment UPSC has asked of the whole world as a net will only zero. But balance of payment crisis of India of 1991 is worth mentioning, where our current account was so fried up and so dried up that we had to put hundreds of tons of gold as collateral for getting some kind of loan from World Bank. Okay, so after 1991, therefore we had LPG reforms, and that's how after that the FDI and FPI made huge inroads in our economy, and now today we have $520 billion of forex reserves. This is how it went. Okay, now everything I have explained. If you have any question, please ask. The heads of forex exchange reserve, just another revision. Gold, special rights. These are decided by IMF in its report. What is the report of IMF? World Economic Outlook. This was the question asked by UPSC in the prelims of 2014. World Economic Outlook is released by IMF. Okay, so I don't think you have any question. See, now today is Sunday and tomorrow we won't having class because I will be traveling from Telangana to Maharashtra. Supraj, which committee gave the definition of FDI? Uh, in my best knowledge, just Google it. If it's Arvinda Mayaram committee, most likely it is this was the committee who has clearly many attempts were made to define FDI. Okay, what exactly will contribute to FDI? What exactly will contribute to FPI and portfolios? But the most accepted definition is from Arvinda Mayaram committee. To the best of my knowledge, yes. Now Likhit is saying it is Arvind Mayaram committee because it is more than a year that I have revised these things. So memory thoda sa kharab ho gaya tha. So tomorrow we are not going to have any class because I will be traveling, and after that we will be having a regular class. uh, and I also need to prepare for mains year also for my rank improvement. So this November, sir, is newspaper and newspaper advertisement come under GST? No, newspaper does not, but the commercial advertisements in newspaper, they do come under GST. And this was the question that was asked in the limbs in UPSC in the year of 2017. Okay, it's a very good question actually. Same question was asked on the similar in 2018, whereas egg, it does not come under on the upper brackets of GST because it is the uh, basic commodity of protein source. But the cooked egg, a boiled egg or a fried egg, that will under the 12% GST. It won't come under 5% GST. So it is like a trick. Newspapers won't come under GST, but the commercial advertisements in GST will under the GST. Uh, I don't know if it has changed in 6 years, but please re-verify it. But what are the basics in our society that does not come under the upper brackets of GST? So, uh, if you have any questions, I would be happy to answer them. Coffee beans, coffee beans come under the lower tax brackets of GST. Filtered coffee or processed coffee, they will come under the higher brackets of GST because after processing egg or after processing coffee or bean, the value addition has been done and the commercialization of the basic commodity has been done. So any commercial activity, government has a legitimate right to tax on it. Okay. Now uh, I would like to suggest you a few things that if you are going to attempt the preliminary examination of 27 June, uh, I would like to suggest that you don't have much time left now. Gradually slow down your preparation because I guess if you have done 2 to 3 consecutive readings of your optional, and even if you have not understood it fully, you do it after preliminary examination because you get 100 to 110 days after prelims. But clearing prelims is the most important part and most difficult part of this examination. It is the most. Sir, India has chosen GST from Canadian or UK. See, goods and service tax, majority of the developed nations in this world, majority of the developed nation in this world follow the GST model for indirect taxes. India is the last country, a credible market, who has joined the GST bandwagon. So we have not it from any one country, but this is a global best practice. And someday, and someday, India would have it's a compulsion on it is a compulsion on any country to choose a unified tax system. Otherwise, no country would invest in it. So it has not copied from any one country. It's a global best practice. Everyone follows it. So June 27 exam is not far away. Now you have subscribed and you have put faith in this institute's preliminary examination strategy. This is the most crucial part of your preparation. If you don't create clear prelims, it doesn't matter what efforts you have put or how talented or intelligent you are. Clearing prelims is the basic funda. I have lost 2 consecutive prelims with a very short margin of marks. I was always ready to crack this examination, but I was not getting that chance of writing the mains examination. The year of 2019, when I cleared prelims, I got the chance to write mains. And in the first mains, I got interview call. And after that interview, I got selected into the list. Even if the odds were against me, at the age of 32, after the job of 4 years, after being married for 4 years, and every person on the planet, right from my relatives to my close friends, suggesting me not to leave my class 1 officer medical job from Bombay and going to this uncertain land of UPSC. Every person advised me against it, but I was firm on my dreams. because I knew it very well that I can clear this examination through my hard work, consistency, and focus. But I was not able to write mains, and I failed in consecutive two prelims. So prelim forms very important, very important. I cannot stress the level of frustration that I have experienced when I was not able to clear the prelims, because I was ready with my mains and interview preparation, but I was not able to write it because the filter of prelims is very, very huge. Average 7 to 8 lakh people appear for prelims and only 10,000 are in mains. Such a huge elimination round it is. So everything counts for the prelims. So put your faith in on any one single institute. If you have joined this institute, then put your faith in this institute. Do your own research, do your own analysis, do your own hard work, and do your own question answer practice. And that's how you clear preliminary examination. Okay. So best of luck. Good night to everyone. We will meet day after tomorrow, hopefully. So best of luck. Okay. Thank you.